ABC's Lost is a show teeming with mysteries, from cryptic numbers to secretive others, but one of its quirkiest and most hilarious mysteries stemmed from a running joke about two minor characters, Scott Jackson and Steve Jenkins. What began as lighthearted confusion over their identities turned into a full-blown production mix-up, and ultimately became a critical turning point in the series' story. Who were Scott and Steve? Scott Jackson and Steve Jenkins were two background survivors of Oceanic Flight 815. Played by Dustin Watchman, Scott, and Christian Bowman, Steve, the characters were initially introduced as close friends before the crash. Their roles in the story were minimal, often relegated to the background or humorous mentions. The joke about mixing up Scott and Steve began in Season 1 when Hully and other main characters couldn't remember which was which. Hully even asked, "Who the hell are Scott and Steve?" A line that resonated with fans who struggled to keep them straight. This ongoing gag reflected the show's focus on only a select few survivors, leaving many others in the shadows. The mix-up behind the scenes. The Scott/Steve confusion went from a deliberate joke to a genuine production mishap. In Season 1, Episode 15, Homecoming, Scott was killed by Ethan Raume, one of the others. However, the actor playing the corpse was Bowman, Steve, creating unintentional confusion. From that point on, Dustin Watchman, who had played Scott, took over as Steve, but his contract still listed him as Scott. Even the writers and producers were caught in the mix-up. Showrunners Carlton Cuse and Adam Horowitz admitted they had to rely on a note card in the writer's room stating, "Scott is dead. Steve is alive." On the Lost podcast, creator Damon Lindelof confessed he couldn't remember which character had died. How Scott and Steve sparked a major plotline. The humorous Scott and Steve identity crisis inadvertently led to one of Lost's biggest storylines. In Season 1, Episode 10, Raised by Another, Hully became so frustrated by the confusion that he initiated a census of the survivors. This led to the shocking discovery that Ethan Raume, one of the others, wasn't on the flight manifest. Ethan's exposure set off a chain of events that revealed the other's presence on the island. Without the Scott/Steve mix-up, this critical plot point might have unfolded much later. Fans embraced the Scott/Steve fiasco. Despite their limited screen time, Scott and Steve became cult favorites among fans. Their bizarre identity swap epitomized Lost's ability to turn even minor details into fan-fueled theories. Though Steve's fate was left ambiguous after Watchman's departure, fans still fondly remember the duo as part of the show's quirky charm. A legacy of laughter and mystery. The Scott and Steve mix-up highlights the delightful chaos of Lost. What started as a running joke evolved into a behind-the-scenes snafu and ultimately became a catalyst for one of the show's most pivotal revelations. Even 20 years later, this oddball storyline remains a fan-favorite anecdote, showcasing the series' ability to blend humor, mystery, and compelling storytelling. Lost is available to stream on Hulu, Disney+, and Netflix.